All right, today is Tuesday, September the 9th, 2024. Now that I'm retired, we don't have to do these on the weekend. I'm here with Reverend Dr. Mendle Adams, and I am Vicki Werneke for another episode of Mendle's Musings. So today, Dad, I was thinking that today we talk about the event that kind of held captive the whole world even yesterday, and that is the total solar eclipse, and how it really just became an event, and people were sharing their experience on Facebook and on Twitter and social media, and it just was kind of showing how we can have common ground, I think. So I know that in Cleveland, here in Oklahoma City, we didn't have total coverage. We had like 95%, which was still amazing. The southeast part of the state had the total, and Peter and Caitlin drove down for that. But Ron and I enjoyed it.
Up with the clouds, weren't they?
Well, they did have a problem with the clouds, but it cleared away so they could see it.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
They could see it at moments, and at the end they could clearly see it. And here in Oklahoma City, Ron and I enjoyed it in our backyard. We even bought patio furniture so we could comfortably sit outside. And we made lunch. Ron grilled chicken on the grill, and
grill fired up.
Yeah, it was really nice to be able to spend that time together. And if I had not retired, I would have had to be at their office, and so it was nice to be able to just be relaxed. And but by the
they closed our office down so everybody could go.
Oh, wonderful!
I thought that was wonderful. They just put a sign up and said we'll be closed for the eclipse.
I know there were some schools here in Oklahoma City that went to virtual. So the kids could enjoy it. So that was
great idea.
Yeah. Well, the only bad thing was by yesterday evening, because as you know, we went to the movie afterwards, our necks were really hurting from looking up so much.
I thought about that. And then you saw Godzilla.
Godzilla, yes. It was a really good Godzilla movie. It was kind of like Godzilla meets Planet of the Apes kind of vibe to it as well. It was really cool. It was we like Godzilla movies and that kind of stuff. So it did not disappoint as far as we were concerned. And this movie theater that we went to, that Sarah and her girlfriend hooked us up with, it's called Flicks Brew House. They make their own beer.
Called what?
Flicks Brew House. Flix.
Flicks Brew House.
And they serve dinner at your seat. So it's like the really nice recliner seats. And then they have a little table that slides in out, and they bring you drinks. They bring you popcorn if you want it. And you just order. We ordered on with an app, to begin with. And then if I needed a refill, there was a button I pushed. I write a note and they would bring it to me. And it was just like, wow,
better than home.
So that was fun. That was fun. But so what was your experience like with the eclipse? Because you had quite a bit of cloud coverage there too.
We did, but it cleared off. It cleared off wonderfully well.
Cool.
And it was one of those deals where you kept waiting for the moon to get in the right position, and he kept thinking, well, is that ever going to move? Is that ever going to move? And then all of a sudden it started showing up really well, and we decided to go out to the Acacia on the Green, to the park. And so there were families out there with children and flying kites and blowing bubbles, and the children were running and squealing and having a good time, before it happened. And then I noticed that they had said to notice what the wildlife was doing. Well,
Mhm.
we could hear from the woods that was around us, we could hear the birds out there and how they were preparing for the evening. You could hear
Yep.
them chirp and so forth. And that was fascinating. And when the totality happened, everyone broke out in applause and were applauding. And I thought, who are they applauding? Uh, you know, well, that's it. See, and I thought, um, what is man that thou art mindful of him, or the Son of Man that thou visitest him? Which is what the psalmist said when he looked up and said, "When I behold the heavens, I ask, who is man that So it's that kind of it tends to put you in your place in the universe and see that we are the Native Americans talk. One of the prayers that is consistent with all Native American groups, I think, is referring to the prayer as being um, insignificant and miserable.
Oh,
And
oh.
it's just like, oh geez, here am I here. I'm one of many people, and we're viewing that. And one of the things I think to make a correction is that the whole world was watching. I think that here in the United States, because it crossed so much of our territory, that
True.
everybody in that area was watching.
But I did
Uh,
hear a report that there were a lot of people from other countries that flew into the United States
yeah,
so they could, and that was on NPR, they were talking about that they interviewed somebody, I think it was like in somewhere where there was going to be totality, and they heard all these different languages, like they could hear French and Arabic. And so I think even though you're right, United States was the only place that really, Mexico, the United States, the only place that got the real
full
great
brunt of it.
look. But I think other people in other countries who could afford it decided
Yes.
to come join us.
Well, the young couple that was in front of us, a few yards, had a couple little children, and they were speaking Spanish, so they were a Hispanic family. Then there were several black families. A couple had pickup trucks that they backed up in there so that people could lay down in the back of the pickup truck and watch.
Oh,
It
nice.
was really, really, really nice.
Nice.
And and I also appreciate the fact that all four of my children were able to contact me on Facebook about what was going on. And
That was cool that we could
uh,
experience it together like that.
that was extraordinary. And I thought, I've got children, grandchildren, great grandchildren that are experiencing that, and a great grandchild that's experiencing that in some sense at the same time, a little bit different in a different arrangement. And
Mhm.
then also I had the broader family. I had the family from down in Virginia. Like somebody sent me a thing that was kind of a snarky thing about rapture or something like that, and it was funny. And I posted it and said I liked it. Well, one of my shirt-tailed cousins down in Virginia said something about how it was a shame that churches were not preaching the truth about the rapture because that meant that people were going to miss the rapture and so forth. And then they hurriedly said, Mendel, I know you're rapture ready, but there's some people. And so, and I thought, it's a case of where we now I can look on that and see some humor in that. Uh, and then I saw the thing with a Choctaw they told about in the Choctaw thing, it was about that the squirrel uh, had devoured the sun, and so they had to make noise to scare the squirrel off so that the sun would come back. And we look on that now and say, well, isn't that quaint? And we look on some of that fundamentals kind of stuff and saying that's it's kind of quaint. It isn't that you're angered by that. You're just saying, well, that's kind of quaint because it's people trying to understand this phenomenon,
Right, right.
extraordinary phenomenon.
Well, and that's what, Ron and I were kind of commenting to each other. It's like how, just imagine what the first peoples thought when they would have seen that, because they wouldn't have seen it very often. They wouldn't have been able to look at it through the special glasses that we've got, and how frightening it would be that the sun would just all
Yeah,
of a sudden go away. And,
yeah.
fortunately, we have a better understanding. We have, equipment that help us look at them, but I could totally see how, especially when
Oh
the
yeah.
temperature drops and the wildlife kind of goes a little, acts a little weird, and because the temperature dropped here like 20 degrees and we didn't even have
I did
totality.
here too.
It just, we felt it really, temperature just all of a sudden dropped. And then as soon as it started, the moon started to move away, it warmed back up. But it
There,
was,
there, there's a hymn, anthem that was sung by the McPherson Congregational Church's choir that
yeah,
they sang around uh, Good Friday area,
okay.
and it was called "And No Bird Sang," and it
Mm,
was about the story in the New Testament that says that when Jesus died on the cross, that the sun refused to shine. And so the poet came up with that, and no bird sang. And I thought of that when the birds were, they chirped, and then all of a sudden when it went black, it was just quiet.
yeah. We
And
were also listening to Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. I had the album playing on
oh
my
yes,
iPad. And that was
yeah,
a cool backdrop to it all. And
yeah,
then when that album ended, then we listened to The Wall, Pink Floyd, The Wall. And then I turned the Dark Side of the Moon back on when it started to get to the, almost
you
totality for us. But
you didn't listen to "Hey Teacher, Leave That Kid Alone."
it hadn't gotten to that part on The Wall, but it was, but that was kind of a nice backdrop too.
Yeah.
Oh,
I I think that was, and what I thoroughly enjoyed that. I felt I enjoyed that. Um, I think more than anything that I've ever seen, including when I watched uh, when the astronauts made it to um, the moon,
mm-hmm.
and even though when it comes to human beings, that was maybe more significant. But when I saw this, because it was something over which no one had control,
Right, right.
and it was just, and you talked about uh, the fear and so forth, and for those people that made the study of the constellations of the stars and of the heavens, and to write that down as they have for these millennia, and to be able to predict with some sense of certainty when those things happen, gave them immense control in their communities,
Yes, yeah,
just
yeah,
immense.
yeah.
And
And it, being able to envision what was going on in the heavens,
yeah,
because I have a hard time even recognizing constellations, except for the obvious ones like Orion,
yes,
Big
I do too.
Dipper. But I have a hard time visualizing the really big ones unless somebody puts a picture over it, and being able to see those patterns in the sky, and that it's repeating patterns is just you know, that's why people have brains that work differently than other people.
Yes.
I'm just I'm grateful for those people because they have opened my eyes to things I couldn't see. I'm just not able to see. And I just think it's so when the totality hit for you guys, could you see the stars then? Because did you notice if the stars were out or?
I did notice the stars. I did notice one star or planet, I'm not sure which, that was off to the right a little bit, and I didn't know what that was.
I've heard a
Uh,
lot of people talk about that and that it looked really big. Did it look kind of big? Or
uh-huh.
and somebody had posted on Facebook like, "What is that?" And I said it looked like the Death Star from
Well,
Star Wars.
they they said something about that we were supposed to be able to see a comet that was
Oh,
supposed to be uh, that had come around and should be around at the same time. I did not see that, and Jake sent a picture of what he said was a jet trail. He sent it, and I said, "Is that the Devil Comet?" Because they called it the Devil Comet. And I said, "Is that the Devil Comet?" And he said, "No, Grandpa, that's a jet airplane." But I was looking for that and see if I could see that, because that was supposed to be timed at the same time of the total eclipse.
So I took a few pictures with my phone, but of course it didn't do justice. And even when I tried to put like one of our glasses over
Yeah.
it didn't. My phone wasn't able to do it. But the pictures I did get when I looked back at them, there was this kind of halo
Uh,
around, and I've seen other people talk about it, and it was very faint, but it was like a rainbow, a halo rainbow around
I
it.
saw I could see what they call the diamond, where it came and then the
Yes.
sun started peeking through the one corner and looked like a ring with a diamond ring. I could see that, and I could see the orange flare from the sun and the corona. I could see that as well. But I thought that was kind of very interesting.
That is cool. That is
Our
cool.
whole understanding of what the sun is,
Hmm.
and if I'm unless I'm mistaken, I think I read somewhere where they're working on sending a satellite to land on the sun.
What?
I
How's
I
that
I
possible?
I can imagine that, but they say,
They'd have to be some heavy duty heat resistant
"Oh
for
my,
that. But that would be fascinating if they could. That would be fascinating to understand the sun because it's such, the sun and the moon are so vital to our
oh."
global experience. It's like, you know,
Well,
it,
I remember there was a song back when we were in Michigan in Grand Rapids, and you did a banner of the sunrise.
uh-huh.
There was a
That was
song that with the "Here Comes the Sun" or something like that.
it was a batiking that I did. Yeah. Yeah. That was a surprise gift for you that I did.
You still have that, don't you?
Oh yeah, it's hanging up in our living room. Yeah, yeah. I don't. Maybe it was that song that inspired me to make it. But we had done batiking in art class, and I was fascinated by it. And batiking is where you put wax on the cloth, and then you dye it, and then
Diet, and
you
then
take the wax off,
uh,
you put it on other spots and you dye it. And I was just fascinated when we did that in art class. And then I decided to, I don't know why, but I just decided I wanted to make this sunburst for you in the basement of Aunt Marlene's house.
uh,
I made such a mess. She had one of those utility sinks in the basement, and I had an ironing board. Mom helped me get all the supplies. It was eighth grade, and I really was thrilled with the way it turned out. And
oh, it's lovely. It just
yeah, and then
looks
you framed it, and then you added the celebrate, which was really
yes.
cool too. And yeah, that was That was
I
fun.
just want to celebrate.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, so I really felt good about that, and I feel so fortunate that I lived long enough to be able to see it. I told him that the next time around I'd see it from the other side.
I know, Dad, 25 years, 23 years from now,
Mm,
you'd be 108.
well, like I say, I'll see it from the other side.
Oh, yeah. I hope Ron and I can both experience it together again.
Yeah, me too. So
But it
anyhow,
was cool.
I there'll probably be other things that will come out of that as time goes on, where we'll be thinking about. And they're saying that that the science is now, they're going to take the next 20 years studying all the pictures and things that all the, uh, all the things that they've observed from all over,
It's fascinating that
figure
they
out what's
predict.
happening to the atmosphere. They said they help them
Oh,
to
yeah.
understand global warming and all.
And they were accurate about the path of because it's very predictable where the moon and the sun go, but they were very accurate about the path,
Yes.
which is impressive, right? That's it's the people
It says
in the
here that my internet is unstable. I can't
oh,
understand that.
hey, I can hear you just fine. You're still there. Does that mean it's gonna fade? You're gonna freeze up on me again?
I got it plugged in, so it's not running out of juice.
Okay, that's probably fine.
Yeah,
Well, do you feel a sermon coming on? Did that give you any the experience give you any sermon ideas?
not really,
Oh,
really. No,
well, I must say, my second week into retirement, I'm actually really enjoying it. It's
well, let's hope we have many more to enjoy.
exactly, exactly. All right, Papa. Well, let's cut this one short. And again, it's great seeing you and hearing your voice. And it was wonderful to share the experience of the eclipse with the whole family
Oh yeah,
across the miles. And
oh yeah, that was great.
you
And
know
I like your hair.
oh, thank you. Well, I'm getting it done. I'm getting it dyed again on tomorrow, and it's going to be rainbow all over. At least that's the plan.
Well, there you go.
And
I think
then
I'll
I got
get
my
mine
nails
done.
done. See my nails. Mom would be so proud of me. I'm getting my nails done.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars worth of lady trainings finally paying off, but I'm mainly doing it because my nails have gotten so thin I think from some of the medication that I'm on.
Uh-huh.
They were splitting and cracking and it become painful, and so I get the nails done to kind of give them some strength so they don't break.
Darlene has that problem with her fingernails as well, and
Yeah.
it gets them painted up, but then they flake off and so forth.
Yeah. Well, I like the woman that I go to. Her name is Lynn, and she does a really good job. So I actually got Ron to go in and get a manicure a couple weeks ago too, and that really helped him. I need to get him back in again, because it hurt. His nails are so thick. She had to
Oh
use the
yeah,
Dremel on them, but anyway. But he's doing well. He's doing well.
good. He looks like he's lost some weight.
He has lost some weight, but he's also.
And that's good. That's good. That's not.
It is good, but he had lost a lot of weight because when he didn't really feel good, and now that he's feeling better, his appetite is coming back. But he's still eating healthy. But and he even commented that even mentally he feels better.
Yeah, he looked much better.
Yeah. All right, Papa.
Okay. Well, have a good week.
Thanks. You too.
And I sent that that last letter joy out to you. It's
Oh,
fascinating.
lovely.
And if you read that in the context of seeing that movie on Oppenheimer, it will help flesh that out for you.
Interesting. I look forward to that. All right.
Those were tough times. We'll
Oh,
see you.
yeah.
Bye bye.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.